For Michael Jackson, his mother got involved because he had financial advisors and personal representatives nominated that, according to his mom, should not have been nominated. Now, he might have known these individuals back in 2002, but who's to say within the last year or two of his life, he in turn wanted to have those. That's why you need to update your plan. We bring our clients through our updates every year. It's important to have your, especially if you're a real estate entrepreneur. You want to have access to your attorney. And that's one of the things that we in turn provide. We do it at a very cost-effective basis, because if not, I've seen bills $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month just paying for attorneys. So we're going to give you a great program here at the end, and I'm going to reveal this in the book for the first time. Also, Farrah Fawcett. Farrah Fawcett passed away sadly in 2009, and one of our end-of-life planning that we in turn have utilized on her, on our clients, related to what Farrah Fawcett should have done. It's our understanding that she had a will in place, but she has a child from who was the son of her longtime boyfriend, and this particular son had drugs. He was in jail, if you recall, while she was going through this end-of-life planning. And the problem here is what happens when the courts are looking for money from him. What happens if he has creditors? Sounds like he was a junkie. I mean, you might have some of these nuances, and we're going to take you through it. That's why it's important to have your estate plan done. And like I said, within 20 minutes, we can get your planning and blueprint done. And I'm going to share with you some of the secrets here as it relates to some of these nuances that I mentioned that celebrities should have utilized, and some of them haven't. And that's why it's important for you to utilize them. And also, we're going to reveal for the first time our just added Heath Ledger's dark secrets as to why his plan. Now, before we get into some of the main critical documents, I think it's important to briefly go through what your CPA accountant didn't tell you about your LLC. For one, your LLC can be pierced by a court, and you should have had your LLC drafted and created by Nevada Business Corp. And there's a way to get a hold of them, and you can contact us at contact@15criticalpoints.com. That's 15criticalpoints.com to get access to them, because they in turn are one of the best in the country at doing what they do. And this is not to be in any which way, shape, or form to actually provide you with those documents, because they're the company that actually does it. Now, I'm providing you some of the pitfalls that we've seen. Your operating agreement has to be done properly. We in turn can take you through that review just to make sure that it's done. Also, share with you real quick how a business owner actually ended up one night in the clink, and it cost him over $33,000. The LLC could have prevented this. He didn't have an LLC in place. He was sued. Guess what happened? He let the lawsuit linger. 2 years later, we're talking a gentleman who never gets pulled over, happens to have a dispute with his car leasing company, and guess what happens? The police get called out. They pull up the fact that he had a civil bench warrant out for him, and it ended up costing him literally over $33,000. So I wanted to briefly mention that to you before we get into what this system and what the book is going to provide to you. There's some critical parts for your LLC in the operating agreement. We can't get into all the nuances right now, but I just wanted to share this with you. Please don't let the state dictate how your profits should be distributed. I don't know about you, but you never want the state, especially now in this state of flux, to show you how you should determine what your profits and equity splits are. Because, for instance, if you have a partner that one of your partners is putting up all the money, he's putting up all the risk. So there may be a different breakup of the equity or any profits at the end of the year. And this is the document that you really need to have in place to illustrate that, should any disputes. Also, a few other key matters. You want to have some refinancing provisions, distributions, rents, property management, lease options, and much more that an LLC tailored to real estate would attain. And briefly, I've been asked this numerous times across the country on some speaking events and on interviews that I've done, is what the IRS is doing now related to your property as to whether or not you're holding and flipping the property. You in turn never want the IRS in your life. That much we know. And if you rehab, buy depressed properties, and sell for a quick profit, you may have a potential for dealer status under the IRS code. What happens then? Well, you may lose your 1031 tax-free exchanges, loss of depreciation deductions, loss of long-term capital gains gains rates against sale of properties. You may lose deferral of gain on installment sales. There's a number of tax benefits that you may lose. It's important. Document, and your intent. Now, the main thrust of what this book is going to show you, I'm going to reveal right now for the first time. There's actually 5 critical documents. There's your VIP will. There's your celebrity-like revocable living trust that should contain the 15 critical points revealed in my book. Also, the medical power of attorney, your HIPAA release, and your financial power of attorney. These are 5 main documents that many practitioners don't even provide to you. And we in turn do this. We show you the mechanisms that you need in place. And again, this in turn is about having that peace of mind. That, remember what we mentioned earlier about whether or not you in turn are angry at certain things? Well, this is for you. Now, the main documents, and the plain meaning behind them, is our VIP will, which serves its purpose to nominate a personal representative to oversee your real estate and other assets. Don't let a court decide. At a minimum, have the will, but the will also has to be complied with pursuant to state law. We've sold our emergency estate planning blueprints across the country, from Hawaii to New York. Literally, I just got off the phone the other day with our Hawaii client and a teleseminar that we provided, and it was breathtaking to hear, how warm it was in Hawaii, but also to hear how important this was to them. This family had businesses. They had small kids they wanted to protect. They wanted to have it in writing, and they really didn't feel comfortable going to another attorney down the street. In fact, we had an attorney sign up with us out of New York who could have went to probably numerous attorneys, but they wanted our system. In addition, some of the main documents is your revocable living trust for real estate entrepreneurs. There's 4 main parts to a trust, and I cover this in the book. The first part is you in turn need to have a grantor. That's you, placing property into the trust. Race, Latin for property, is the second part. You need beneficiaries. Loved ones, could be kids, could be nieces, nephews, obviously your spouse. Of course, should you want to take care of your spouse during her lifetime. Spouses have certain specific state rights related to their spousal rights, even if you try to disinherit your spouse. So just be cognizant of that. In addition to that, our very well known and unique Casanova clause, which we in turn found over the years, and this is very, very super secret information. Families with second marriages where they have stepkids coming in, almost like a Brady Bunch situation. We actually had a client that was sued by her stepkids, and because of the Casanova clause that was in there, it prevented that lawsuit from ever going to court. This family hired, actually the grandmother, the evil grandmother as I call her, of the stepkids, hired 3 different attorneys. In fact, one well-known attorney that had just secured a $8 million judgment against other parties and other defendants in a different case. These clauses protected against that, protected the real estate that the husband that passed away, and for the benefit of the spouse. So it's very important that you seek out in this book, that you seek out the proper information, you and your loved ones. Now, why do estate plans fail? A couple key critical areas is that you need to fund your property into your trust, because as we talked about, your estate plan is only as good as the assets that are in the trust. And if there are no assets in the trust, then guess what? Your estate plan is not going to be valid. I don't know how many of you want that, but we don't want that for our clients. So no funding. That's one of the why estate plans fail. And you have to transfer them. There's certain transfer documents that you need in place. And by the way, LegalZoom and some of these other corporations and even other law firms, they don't transfer your assets. They leave the onus on you. This book is going to illustrate to you step by step how to do it on your own. Now, I wouldn't always advise it because you need to have an attorney draw up certain transfer documents. And you in turn will have an opportunity also to have access to our system. But first and foremost, you want the information. Also, you may still end up in probate court.